Welcome and thank you for joining us right here on Luntha Television. It's time for news. Enjoy with me, Jacqueline Saini. Before we go, Pope Francis prayed for victims of massive blaze at Cuban fuel depot. Parliament passes One-Stop Border Control Bill 2022. CSOs question Parliament's conduct on filling station sale saga. And in other news, Kenyans cast their votes with hope for change and economic growth. We have this and more. Stay with us. The Holy Father Pope Francis has conveyed his prayers for those affected by a huge fire at Cuban fuel depot. According to reports, the fire was caused by lightning strikes on the Montaza's supertanker base in Cuba. In a telegram addressed to the President of the Bishops' Conference of Cuba, the Pope has expressed his closeness to the Cuban people and the loved ones of those affected by the massive oil-fed fire. We have a report which is being read by Alinafi Pire.
Pope Francis has expressed his closeness to the Cuban people and the loved ones of those affected by the massive oil-fed fire at Cuban supertank port in Matanzas over the weekend. The blaze began on Friday night after lightning struck a fuel storage tank at the depot. The fire then spread into a second storage tank on Saturday morning, triggering further explosions. As of Sunday, Cuba appeared to have made some progress in bringing the fire under control with the help of special teams sent by other countries. In a telegram addressed to the President of the Bishops' Conference of Cuba, Bishop Emilio Alangoreni, the Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin conveyed the Pope's sentiments in. The Holy Father said he is closely following the news about the unfortunate accident that caused a fire and several explosions at the Matanzas supertanker base. He has since assured the people of Cuba and the families of those affected of his spiritual closeness and prayed to the Lord to grant them strength in this moment of pain to sustain the work of extinguishing the fire and the search for the missing. According to news reports, at least one person died, 17 firefighters are missing, and 121 people have been hurt in the fire.
Parliament has today passed the One-Stop Border Control Bill of 2022, which seeks to provide a legal framework for implementation of agreements signed between the Republic of Malawi and neighboring countries for operationalization of one-stop border posts. This will help to facilitate coordinated border controls for efficient cross-border movement of people and clearance of goods. Minister of Trade and Industry Mark Katsonga, who tabled the bill, assured government's commitment towards significantly changing the way of doing business at the border by improving cross-border trade, free movement of people, and enhancing trade facilitation in general, thereby further accelerating Malawi's trade integration of the regional and world markets. We have a report by Tandewe Mzumara.
The legislation will enable Malawi to comply with its obligations under the Southern African Development Community SADC Protocol on Trade, COMESA Treaty, and other regional and international trade facilitation agreements. To enable effective implementation of the one-stop border post concept, the bill provides for extraterritorial application of national laws relating to border controls of the Republic of Malawi and neighboring countries, thereby enabling the hosting of and performance of statutory functions by border control officers outside their national territory. The bill also provides sharing of each other's existing border control infrastructure and facilities with a view to simplifying and expediting border control procedures and harmonization of border control regulations and procedures to ensure uniformity and predictability. Speaking on the matter, opposition DPP and UDF lawmakers, before giving a nod, among other things, emphasized on the need for community sensitization to ensure that local Malawians are able to benefit from the initiative. Minister of Trade and Industry Mark Katsonga-Piri then assured of government's commitment to ensure that users and the local community benefit, noting that an OSBP uses simplified and harmonized legal and institutional framework, facilities and associated coordinated procedures and processes that enable goods, people and vehicles crossing a border to stop only once in the country of entry. The passing of the bill comes ahead of the soon-to-be-launched Mchinji Mwami one-stop border post, which is among key border posts in the country. Malawi has prioritized construction of one-stop border posts at 6 borders of Mchinji Mwami, Dedza Colonial, Mwanza Zobwe, Songwe Kisumulu, Muloza Milanje, and Chiponde Mandimba border posts. For Luntha News in Ilongwe, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
The Malawi Electoral Commission has disclosed that registration and voter verification exercises for Wenya Ward in Chitipa Lipimba Ward in Karonga and Shira Ward in Balaga were successful, and that the Commission is set to hold the by-elections on the 23rd of August. In an interview, MEC Communications Officer Sangwani Mafulira said it has been a successful preparation and all candidates that presented their papers were found eligible and have been accepted to contest. He further said the Commission registered a total of 1,070 new voters in the 3 by-election areas, of which 409 are male and 661 are female. Mafulira explains.
Well, the Commission received nomination papers on Friday, and they had to be reviewed to ascertain that all the details that one has to fulfill for them to be accepted to contest have been met. So we had to review all the nominees' signatories to make sure that they are coming from the same ward where the candidate intends to contest. We had to check for the nomination fee and other details. So, having gone through all the processes, the Commission has approved the list of all the candidates that presented their nomination papers that they are eligible to contest. So, the message from the Commission is that they should continue with the campaign. The campaign will end on 21st of August at 6 a.m. So we are saying that every election is serious business. As they go to campaign, they should ensure that they stick to the code of conduct which they have signed to abide by. That is, ensuring when conducting campaign meetings, they should not be provocative. They should concentrate on their manifestos and the issues instead of dwelling on personalities. They should urge their followers to ensure that they keep calm and coexist with all the other candidates. As a commission, we will be monitoring the campaign processes, and should we notice something going off tangent, an action will be taken.
The visual hearing impairment in Malawi, VHEMA, says education and employment inclusion for persons with disabilities are dreams that are yet to be realized by persons with disabilities in the country. This was said by Martha Mumba, Programs Manager for VHEMA, an organization that deals with persons with deaf-blind disabilities. According to Mumba, learning and human resources for persons with disabilities are still scarce, but hopes that the new policy that government is drafting will bring change. Rashida Matandika filed this report.
While acknowledging the efforts that government is making in including persons with disabilities in most ministries and departments, Martha Momba, Programs Manager for Visual Hearing Impairment in Malawi, said there are other gaps that are being overlooked as disabilities are of different kinds. Speaking especially for persons with deaf-blind disabilities, Momba said much as learning and human resources are the most challenging part for them, employment is worse as most of them are not educated.
In terms of employment, we can say we are still on the low level. We need to work for improvement for employment inclusion in terms of persons with disabilities, and in particular, we can see deaf-blind are not mostly in terms of their can say the disability itself, and a lot of deafblind are not well educated because they were left behind. But I think in the future comings, with whatever they are putting in place, I think we'll have a lot of deafblind employed.
Commenting on the matter, Director for Federation of Disability Organizations in Malawi, Simon Munde, extended his gratitude to the Ministry of Education for having the passion in considering persons with disabilities. He attributed the tour that the Minister of Education and her deputy took in monitoring on how students with disabilities are doing in this year's examinations. However, Munde said there are still challenges that are being faced by persons with disabilities, especially in the education sector, as projects that come and phase out go with everything that no one cares to sustain them. Munde attributed the challenge to lack of commitment by civil servants in advancing the projects.
The most serious challenge that we have, I think, is lack of commitment by the duty bearers, more especially the civil servants that have been hired to advance this particular agenda. I think that's where we have a problem. It may not just be in the Department of Inclusive Education, but in the larger Ministry of Education. You would find that sometimes they take it as an afterthought. And if as a disability sector with movement, we do not remind them, they will just leave just like that. And sometimes, other times, you would find that the budgetary allocation that was there, it's not being used, or in other cases, they're taking those budgetary allocations and using it in other areas.
The 2030 Sustainable Development Goals number 4 on quality education, Target 5, advises that by 2030, Malawi should eliminate gender disparities in education and ensure equal access to all levels of education and vocational training for the vulnerable, including persons with disabilities. And hopefully, if Malawi is serious on the matter, it will take the issue as one of the country's priority areas. Rashida Matantika, Luntha TV, Balaka.
Remember, you're still watching news on Luntha Television. Now, a reminder of the headlines.
Pope Francis prays for victims of massive blaze at Cuban fuel depot. Parliament passes One-Stop Border Control Bill 2022. CSOs question Parliament's conduct on filling station sales saga. In other news, Kenyans cast their votes with hope for change and economic growth.
Moving forward, civil society organizations have blasted legislators for trespassing their corn in the way the Kanengo Gun filling station sales saga was handled in Parliament. The case involved GAM Investments and fuel owners Garson Nkweza and Masters Group of Companies Managing Director Alfred Gangata, while Nkweza lost his filling station to court judgment. Have a report by Hilbert Katanda.
Gangata, whose borehole drilling truck keys were confiscated, sued Nkweza, demanding damages of loss of business. However, last week, parliamentarians passed a resolution that the Judicial Service Commission must be summoned and appear before the Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament over what they said illegal dubious sale of a filling station. But the coalition said by discussing the matter, parliamentarians overstepped their boundaries. Human Rights Conservative Committee Chief Robert Nkweza told reporters on Tuesday in Lilongwe that the group demands that Parliament should withdraw the resolution. Nkweza has threatened that the coalition will hold demonstrations should they continue with what was agreed on the 5th of August 2022.
No, we'll take Parliament to task, we'll submit petitions and ensure that they comply with our demand. We'll mobilize Malawians, good-intentioned and good-willing Malawians who are interested in safeguarding the independence of our organs and the rule of law, respect for rule of law, and take them to Parliament so that Parliament should hear from us right in front of them, maybe now they may not have listened to these public debates or pressers. We'll take it to them so that eventually they come to realize and appreciate that yes, they erred and this should not happen in Parliament.
During the heated parliamentary debate, which led to 3 consecutive House adjournments, Rompi East MP Kamlevo Kalua, who moved the motion on Thursday afternoon, described some judges as judiciary mafias. High Court Judge Ken Manda ruled that GUM Investments and Fuels Limited should pay 747 million kwacha to Masters Borehole Drilling Company for loss of business. Therefore, Mkweza's filling station was seized and sold to Simama following his failure to settle 747 million legal fees. Initially, Gangata owed Mkweza 1.5 million kwacha for fuel he took on credit, which prompted him later to snatch keys for borehole drilling machine from the former. Gelson Mkweza obtained a stay order from High Court stopping the sale earlier in the day. The stay order is until judgment in the judicial review case has been granted. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I'm Helbert Katanda.
Balaka District Hospital Advisory Committee says lack of training for delivering their services at the district hospital is compromising their work and supervising the hospital's activities. Chairperson for Hospital Management Committee, James Kaliza, made the remarks when his committee appeared before Balaka Civil Society Organization Governance Thematic Group at Swida in the district. He said his team never attended trainings on how to perform their duties a year after being elected, and efforts to engage the hospital authorities have been futile. Andrew Nandoro has compiled this report, which is being read by a reporter, Rashida Matandika.
Speaking at the meeting, Kaliza said he's worried that lack of training for the team will lead to underperformance of their work. He said the authorities are not interested in meeting them, which he suspects that something fishy can happen without their knowledge.
We were supposed to be trained soon as we were elected last year, but this has never been done. We were also to meet hospital authorities, but we feel the authorities are playing hide and seek. This meeting with the CSO network is crucial because we hope they will organize a day to meet hospital authorities.
Asked to comment on the team's claims, Balaka District Hospital spokesperson Messi Nyirenda refuted the allegations, saying the team went for a 5-day training from 28 June 2022 and that the team has been invited so many times to the hospital to attend to some activities.
It's not really true that what they're saying is about their trainings, that they were not trained. Is not true. So these people underwent a training, a full training for that matter, on how they can do their work. Their capacity was built in terms of drug management, issues of management in general at our facility as Balaka District Hospital.
In his remarks, Duncan Mapwesela, who is Balaka Civil Society Organization's Governance Thematic Group Chairperson, said during the meeting it was clear that hospital authorities have issues that need discussions to map a way forward to save people of Balaka better.
During our meeting, we have seen that they have a lot of issues which need some discussions and somewhere we need to have a strategic plan on how they are going to work on those issues. Yeah, one of the issues which has transpired is the management team, the DSMT team which is there, is having a negative attitude of their management team at the DCTM. And the committee is failing to identify who is supposed to assist them and who is supposed to lead and give them the way forward on how they can manage those issues which are affecting them at the hospital.
Balaka District Hospital serves over 500,000 people within the district and also people from neighboring districts of Ncheu, Neno, Zomba, Machinga and Mangochi.
In other news, political observers have said the stakes for Kenya's August 9th general elections are extremely high, in that politicians are aware of the consequences of heated utterances of risk-stoking emotions among the citizenry. They say unguarded commentary from political camps can trigger unrest. Currently, Kenyans are hoping for a peaceful transition of power after almost a decade under President Uhuru Kenyatta, though concerns about vote rigging linger in the nation that's still haunted by previous election disputes that descended into deadly violence. More than 22 million people were registered to vote against a backdrop of soaring prices of food and fuel, a punishing drought that has left millions hungry and deep disenchantment with the political elite, particularly among the youth. This vote follows an intense campaign dominated by debates about living costs, unemployment, and corruption. The frontrunners for president are ex-Prime Minister Raila Odinga and current Deputy President William Ruto. Kenyans were also electing a new parliament and local administrations. Well, with that, we conclude the news. Now, the headlines before we go.
Pope Francis prays for victims of massive blaze at Cuban fuel depot. Parliament passes one-stop border control bill 2022. CSOs question Parliament's conduct on filling station sales saga. And in other news, Kenyans cast their votes with hope for change and economic growth.
You have been with me, Jacqueline Saidi. Now keep watching as King Major Kamwendo brings you the segment of sports.